Warriors, what's good? Hope all is well with everybody. On a night walk, a little different tonight. I was going to do a message for you guys last night, but my emotions was too charged up. Yeah, like I said, we're coming through this Sagittarius full moon, and I spoke a lot about that in the last video, so check it out when you get a chance. Before I get started, just want to say how much I really appreciate all the leaders that I've been connecting with on different levels that I got my notes because I needed to do it for this one. As been connecting with me on different levels, and what they see in me, and allows me to see that I can continue to step out on faith in regard to what's going on within me and developing these gifts that undoubtedly I know I have and I've been operating in for a while, but I'm being pushed to go to another level. So, so I had to go for a run this morning, and I said I was gonna go for a run tonight. So then I couldn't make up my mind of whether I wanted to work out or go for a run. So I went for a run. I got to the gym, went for a run, and came back and did front squats, releasing some of this emotional energy. So it kind of tore my chest up a little bit. I went a little heavier than I normally go. I usually don't go past 225, but it was one of them nights where I had to get it in. So all the people who hold me in high regards, a few of the CEOs that I've been able to work with, people that are heads of the corporations, all my brothers that are military veterans that hold me in high regard as counsel, who've seen some of the ugliest things in life. It means a lot to me, the things that they share with me, and seeing that they're getting value out of our conversations. Community leaders, already. Big dog, you already know how I feel about you. All the Scorpios that I've been connecting with in this season. You don't necessarily have to be a Sun Scorpio, but it's got Scorpio aspects in your chart, heavily aspected. I do too. My house with Scorpio has 5 planets, including Jupiter, Saturn, and Pluto. And if you know anything about astrology, then that would make sense to you. My West Coast Scorpio, I appreciate you dearly. Ain't nothing like that Cali love. I appreciate you and all that you've been helping me continue to build into. So we're going to talk about pain tonight. We're going to talk about pain and some of the ways it impacts your existence. So we came through this Sagittarius full moon. Sagittarius is also a representation of Chiron, who is the wounded healer. Wounded healer meaning one who's able to heal others, but struggles to heal their own wounds. And I'll go into a little bit more on that in the video previous to this one. So I don't want to take up too much time with that because we got a couple things to cover. All right, so basically, I had to do a lot of clearing work myself this particular moon. Not so much dealing with physical traumas or pain, but emotional pain. And it's been really interesting, for it to come to the surface, for me to be able to examine it, accept it for what it is, but not getting caught in the vibration of the emotion, releasing it from my heart, from my subconscious, so that I can have more capacity to take in more light to be more sufficient in this new season of life that I see coming in that's looking very prosperous. So I always like to use myself as an example, and I use a few different examples because I know you'll be able to relate to it. Even if you haven't been dealing with these particular things, you can relate it to circumstances that you're dealing with in your own life. And it's been a few things over the last few days that I really had to channel in and kind of deal with that were challenging. So let's start with this. So I went to go see my brother yesterday. He's behind the wall. And when I was walking down the hallway, luckily he's in county. But I remember years ago when he first went to Supermax at 17. There's a lot going on during that time period. We just lost one of our cousins that we love dearly, who was more like a brother to us than just extended family or cousin. And I know we all cried for a long time because he was such a great person. And him and my brother only a year or two apart. And, I was a little older, so I was already used to dealing with certain situations of life. He was just coming into he lost somebody that he was close to. And then I had just left to go away to school. And I wasn't in the position to take him with me at that point in time, which was always kind of our dream. So when he went to Supermax, I never forget, man, going through the gates, and when you're behind that wall, there's that pressure that's honing down on you. And it's almost like you can hear the screams of the people behind that wall and all of the dark, demented things within that vibration. I remember I threw up the first month that he was behind the wall. I was sick to my stomach. Not only was he in Supermax, but he was in solitary confinement. So there was no way to contact him for a long time. And so, he's had to deal with some real challenges in his mental health, but I see his heart. He's still a good person. He's just trying to figure this thing out. So I'll just take a sidebar and say, if you got somebody behind the wall, they made mistakes, they're still trying to get it right, but they probably haven't quite gotten it right, but you can still see good in their heart. Maybe you can't visit them, but just, let them know that you're still there, because trust me, when you walking down that hallway and you realize this is where they're living, it will hit you a certain way. It will make you feel a certain way. A lot of times out of sight, out of mind. But when you see how they living, it helps. Just gonna say that. So that was pretty difficult to deal with, but I've grown and learned how to process that energy and deal with it and transmute it and set my own boundaries so I can keep my balance with those kind of emotional situations that tend to come up from time to time. Another thing that hit me this week, for some reason, death has always been a big part of my life. I've lost every best friend that I've had in my life. I haven't had a lot of best friends, but every best friend that I've had, I've lost to violence. Starting in the 8th grade, my homeboy Reese. And funny thing about it is, he would always visit me in a vision all the way up until I was about 25. And, he would visit me when I was dealing with some of the most difficult things in my life, where I felt like I was on edge. And he would show up in this vision, and he would tell me, he was like, look, you've been celebrated in the spirit realm. Keep going. And I would be like, bro, how are you the same age as me when you passed away when we was in the 8th grade? And he was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what you're talking about. Just keep going. I still hear my homeboy Thorpe. I can hear his voice. I hear his laughter. You know, we were pretty hard on each other, but that was our way of showing love to each other. Get it done, Cupcake. You know, Chicken Hawk special. Inside joke. My homeboy D, who was like my big homie, showed me everything that there was to know about the DMV, backside of Pulaski, down the hill, out east, over west, down at the Texas border, so on and so forth. And I started having these visions like a few years before he passed away that I shared with them that were pretty intense, and it was always the same one, very detailed. And I would tell him and he would listen to me, but he was a Gemini, so he got two sides to him, you know. And right before he passed away, I was dealing with a lot. Just left Maryland, back in the Carolinas, trying to figure this thing out. So funds was limited, so I had to catch the Greyhound back to Maryland because I was going to court, you know, family court in regard to my daughter. And I just kind of mentioned it to him that I had to do this. He showed up at the bus stop. Brother T, I got you. Let's go. Made sure I got, made sure I was good. Made sure I got to court the next morning. And, I knew he had things to take care of. I come out of the courtroom, who there? Him. Yo, I got you. You got to go catch the bus right now? Let's get something to eat. That was my dude, man. I never had to ask. He just knew, and I had him the same way, like an older brother. So he looked out for me. I mean, he actually saved my life one time, too. And I always, felt very grateful for that. So with these visions, I always was just like, come on, man. So leave DC, get back on the bus, come back to the Carolinas. The next day, his oldest child calls me and tell me some very tragic news that I won't even get into on this video. Broke my heart. I don't do a lot of drinking. Well, when I was younger, I used to, but I don't do a lot of drinking. That night took down a fifth. Trying to numb that thing out. Why am I talking about this right now? Well, I don't erase text messages from certain people, and I still got the same phone number that they had when they passed away. So, for some reason, over the last 2 days, people that have passed away, their names have been popping up in WhatsApp. Like, D. Clayton has just joined WhatsApp. John Thorpe have just joined WhatsApp. And, a few others. And I'm like, damn. And I guess that's because new people have gotten those numbers since then, because it's been some years. And so it just made me face some things that were probably suppressed that I thought I dealt with, but apparently still needed to come up so they can be released. So I'm taking this moment and using this as a teaching moment about dealing with painful emotions. And this can be related to so many other things. Just using these few examples that I've had to deal with over the course of the last few days to help teach a lesson about how to deal with emotional pain. And we're going to get to the particulars in a little bit here. Give me 1 second. Okay. All right. Let's go. So Psalms 23, right, says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death. It's right there in the text. Shadow work, dark night of the soul, blind spots, fear, this vibration of fear in this instance. Very relevant to what we're dealing with right now as we're coming through this Sagittarius full moon energy that's been put in place to put the pressure on us so those things can come up from our subconscious so that they can be released, so we can have more capacity within ourselves to have more light in this new season to come. So a lot of times, you hear people disagreeing about things that don't matter. Like, oh, I don't believe in spirituality because I'm religious, or whatever the case, or flip-flop it. Let's just deal with what it is. The text says, yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, things that are not alive, blockages, the dark, the unknown, I shall fear no evil. Okay? What does this mean? Well, some of you I know have seen the Joe Rogan podcast with Terrence Howard, Brothers on Levels. And I'm not even going to get into some of the science that he was talking about, but I just wanted to make it relevant, even if you've had a chance to check it out, because he's a real live genius. He's operating from the unified field where he has all knowledge. It's very evident if you understand what he's talking about. But the part that I wanted to deal with was the part that I'm always preaching on, is electromagnetic. Your thoughts and intentions are electric. Your emotions are magnetic. So, heavy thoughts feel like gravity. Depression feels like gravity. Anxiety feels like gravity, like it's weighing you down, like it's on you. It's on you. And you're trying to do everything you can to get that thing off you. It's hard to breathe sometimes when it's on you. Make you feel like you don't have no control over yourself sometimes. That's how heavy that vibration is. So think about it like this. Those that are trying to help somebody through something, or whether you deal with it yourself, it's kind of like holding on to the speaker at the club. And you holding on to the speaker and you vibrating. You can't stop yourself from vibrating while you're holding on to that speaker. And even if somebody is talking to you, you can't hear them because the speaker's too loud. You really have to deal with the vibration that you're in. And the reason why I made reference to this brother Terrence Howard is because he talks about density, gravity being density. And then he gets into some other things about the periodic table, how it's written incorrectly, which I completely agree with him. And I'll say just this to keep it simple. Anything that's in the universe is on Earth. Anything on Earth is in you. Which is why astrology is a science. Because you hold those elements within you. Every last one of them. There is no separation. And some of them are more dense than others. And according to the placements of these planets in your chart, through different seasons as we move through this cosmic clock, it would help you a lot if you understood the universal forecast, which is aligned for you. So make it make more sense. Make it make more sense. Okay. Well, in the periodic table, you got stuff like iron and copper and zinc and all these things. So, like I told you before, thoughts are chemicals. So here we go with the chemistry of the periodic table. if certain things are not in balance within you, let's say you're stressed out, you're really dealing with some things in this season, and we all do, so it's always a rebalancing. But let's say you're depleted of certain nutrients and minerals and elements that you need to keep your balance, so you're creating incomplete proteins that deform cells that cause inflammation, which is a blockage that leads to a virus, which is death. Okay? So your intention, which is electric, if it's not firing off the right amount of electricity in the right capacity, then it throws off the magnetic charge and you pull in more of those things that you put out, electromagnetic. So you get more of that density, more of that gravity that make you feel like you are drowning in emotions or drowning in water, like you're under this water. Everything just seems more difficult. It's hard to do things, right? Okay. Now let's make sense of this. Let's make this make sense. So, if you're dealing with something that's thick, that is just heavy, hard to move through, how do you deal with it? Here we go, stones of bread, baby. You do it with your mind. What do I mean by that? A sharp mind can cut through anything. How do you keep your mind sharp? You got to do that breath work. Like I already talked about the diet and all that. You got to do that breath work. You have to do the breath work. You have to do the breath work. You have to do the breath work. Without it, it's over. And all your gates are open now. Now you're getting flooded with all kinds of crap. You gotta do the breath work because it recenters you. Once it recenters you, then you can hear the truth from within because you're grounded. We'll get into the whole chakra system later, but if you're grounded, meaning like grounded to the earth star. And a lot of times when people speak about grounding, think about it like this. You got diamonds in the earth, you got gold in the earth, all these beautiful stones, rubies, emeralds. You got all of that, but then also all these healing plants. All these plants that heal, you know what I'm saying? These things that are holistic, that do all kinds of things that are just magical, whether it's mushrooms, whether it's herbs, whatever it is. You get all these beautiful scents. That's grounding, baby. Think about it like that. That's the ground. You get some elements that you only can get at certain times when two mountains clash into each other and they create a certain nutrients, which makes it rare. That's grounding. Think about grounding in this sense. It brings you back into balance. Once you bring yourself into balance, then you work your way up through the chakra system. You connect to your soul star. Soul star connects you to source. And what if you are connected to source, it gives you the ability to hear that voice from within to cut through these densities. That is the word of God. Sharper than a two-edged sword. You feel me? Give me a second. Like I said, I had to get my notes together because I ain't want to go on too much of a tangent. I'm about to bring it home in just a little bit. Okay, one second. All right, so tones and frequencies. element within the periodic table definitely operates off of a certain tone frequency, right? That's why it's important to get your minerals. Minerals and oxygen create new blood. That's what you really need for survival. You know, the rest of the food that you eat, the nutrients, you get the nutrients from it and the rest of it is discarded. But you need certain nutrients, certain minerals. Minerals from the things that you eat or supplements. Get your supplement game right. And oxygen or breathing, let's say breathing, let's say not oxygen, breathing, create new blood. And this is Galilee, but we ain't got time to get into that. We'll get into that later. Source of salvation by way of the zodiac. Okay? So, boom. So you're getting the right frequency, you're getting the right elements within your body that operate on a certain frequency. And if you can do that, now you can catch certain waves. You can connect to certain higher frequencies. You can connect to certain angles on the wave, on the high side of the wave, because that's what energy is. It comes in waves. Can't see the wind, but you can feel the wind. You can jump into the wave of the higher frequency on the angle, on the high side of the angle. To connect with the angle is the angel that operates at a certain angle within the high frequency of the wave. Stop playing with me, yo. And once you connect into that high frequency, it can lift you up out of that density. It can bring you right on up out of that density. And you can do this for yourself. For yourself. One second. Okay. So once you connect into that certain frequency, now you're able to like come into a certain tone of frequency. And truth be told, you know what I'm saying, the Ra or the pineal gland or David's harp, which is the hypothalamus, can catch that tone. You know what I'm saying? Now you can connect into a higher frequency that's giving you higher thoughts beyond this dense space of the 3D where you creating spiritual chemicals. This is where healing is, man. This is why it's important to speak to yourself. Speak health into yourself. Speak health into your body. You know what I'm saying? Don't speak what you don't want. Speak what you want. There was darkness and he said, let there be light. This is how powerful the mind is. This is why you got to guard your gates. This is why you can't just accept anything. This is why you have to be very conscious about what you're taking in, because the subconscious mind will grab it. And you want to be in control of this thing. You want to be able to program yourself into prosperity. Very important in this day and age. This whole thing, they calling it AI. We're getting there. But I'm telling you, infinite intelligence is the truth. It's just a knockoff of what the real deal is, which is inside of you. But if you don't know that, and you don't have control over your own mind, and we all been there, we all deal with it. It's a rebalancing thing. But grab your mind. Take your authority. Speak light into your life. And watch how things change. Now, you might be in knots where you might have to untangle some things. You know what I'm saying? They call it cord cutting. But I would advise you to uproot it. Grab that thing from the root. Don't just cut. Because if you cut a cord, then it's been cut. There's a piece of it that's still attached to you. And things grow from roots. So you got to pull this thing up from the root of which it was established in you from out of the garden of your mind. This is holy ground. Once you're able to do this, this is what they call corrective interference. It's a super wave. It's the wave that exceeds the wave that you're on and is always there for you. So in the midst of doing the breathing, boom, you're doing the breathing. Okay, you finally get to a place where you feel your body just settle, just like boom. Okay, you're connected. Now watch this. Sometimes when you're doing the breathing, you just see everything that's pulling in, like whoo, start pulling in. Whoo, and then it starts to create this small, tight circle, you know? And then sometimes it's almost like you can almost look through that. You can see, like you see something inside. You're looking through your third eye now. This is where you want to be receptive, because you're about to connect to the unified field where all things happen. And you want to be guided by source. You want your soul to be guided by source at this point. Not saying that you actually got to physically hit an aha moment, which could happen, but just allow it to happen, to be patient with yourself and just know that you are in alignment at that point. That's all you need to know, that you're in alignment. Whatever's good and what is intended for you is going to happen at this moment. Keep your mind there. And if you can tap into that, now your subconscious is in a certain place. You were able to move through that trauma, connect with the higher angle or angels on that wave, creating the right chemicals, coming to the unified field, and then you allow that marriage between your conscious and your subconscious come together. Bang! This is the head-heart connection. This is the true head-heart connection. The head or the mind, frontal lobe, consciousness, subconscious connection. This is the marriage between your two conscious states, which they speak about in the Bible, where they say, tell the mountain to be removed and the mountain be removed. They cut out the whole other beginning part of it, which makes it confusing. It's when your head and heart are in alignment, like I said before, heart being the subconscious, are on one accord, then you can tell that mountain to move his ass out of your way. Mountain being representation of density. I really hope this helps somebody, man. There's so much I can get into with these messages, and I'm talking to myself when I'm on this camera, and I can just go, but I kind of wanted to just take some notes and just kind of make sure I cover certain things. And like always, you can always reach out to me. Like I said before, I appreciate everybody that's connected with me, that's helping me to increase my faith, to operate out of my gifts and share them with others that may be in need of it. I love all y'all. Like I said before already, Big Dog, you already know what time it is. My brothers as vets, thank you. Thank you. And my West Coast Scorpio changed my life. I'ma holler at y'all soon, man. Peace.